Hi and welcome to Self-Reliance Australia. So this week's video is part 2 of me putting a hole through the wall, punching a hole through the wall and fitting a door in through an existing wall. So if you enjoyed last week's video, this is the second part to that. So we start this video where I've got the sheeting off one side and I've actually then take the mirror out. So for those that remember back to that first video, I had a big mirror on the other side, so I take that mirror out. And then I finish up with the framing or the studs going in for around the door. So I won't go too much into it. I'll let you watch the video and hope you enjoy it. Got it? Mm. So you can see here that I have the mirror off the wall now, and for those that remember back to the first video, I wasn't confident I have enough space down either side of the mirror to get anything down there, but as it turns out I had just enough space to get the blade of my oscillating or multi-tool in there, and I was able to cut down either side and also across the top. And I was able to cut along the bottom from the other side because I already had the wall out. You'll notice I've also got some masking tape on the mirror because I didn't want to crack it accidentally when I was moving it around and cutting it, and just putting that masking tape across gave me a little bit of confidence that it wasn't going to shatter all over the floor. Now I was able to move it off once I had cut it all out by using my glass lifters, their suction cup type systems with handles. I was able to move it off and then remove it out of the house safely. As you can see, I've gone up and I've cut quite a bit higher. So this area up here is a lot higher than even the ceiling on the other side. So the ceiling on the other side comes in about, actually that's the bottom of the cornice. About here actually. So this line at the bottom of this noggin is pretty much at the bottom of the cornice on the other side. So my first job I think I will do, well actually before we go on to next jobs, let's have a look at what we've done today. I've extended this out further because I will most likely have to take this stud and this stud out, which means I'm going to have to put some, I've cut this up higher as well because I'll need to put some extra plates across the top to support that, and that will be extremely important to do that. Depending on where the studs go in here and what I can attach them to on the way through will then depend on how much space I have over to here, and that will start to determine what size door I use. Like I do have a 720 door, but I might need to go to a 680. You know, that's only 40 mil, but 40 mil might be all I need at this stage. I'm not too sure if I can get a 680, but I can get a 620. So I have this bit of wood here, which does sit above the floorboards, which is interesting that they've done that. They've actually brought the floorboards up to it. So that's sitting on something. Obviously that's probably sitting on the joist, which is the same joist that the floorboards are on. So I will need to cut that down and make that flush, then put a board to make it level with the carpet and the tiles. I'll just get some nice timber and probably stain it and put in there, so I've got a nice entryway in for the door, as opposed to trying to put carpet or put other tiles in there. Probably just get a nice piece of wood. I'm going to make it neat and tidy. Yeah, so as I was saying, for next jobs will be, first one will be studs this side, and I need to put that all the way up through to the up to the top plate, like of the frame, as opposed to the top plate I'm talking about for the doorway before. So that needs to support that to take. Then I remove this stud, and then depending on how much space I then have between here and there, and will depend on the size door, may need to take that one out, which means if I do that, I'll have to do the same on this side, and then obviously build it up through here as well. So, progress today. Look, I'm pretty happy with where I got to today. I really wanted to get that mirror out. That mirror was concerning me. It is a big mirror, and I didn't want it to go smashing on the floor because it obviously got tiles in the bathroom, and the kids do use that, so the girls are in there all the time. So it was really important that well, it wasn't the end of the world, like if it had broken, but I didn't want it shattering and have little splinters of glass everywhere. So I'm pretty happy with where we're at today. Still a bit to do, and still a bit to think through on how I'm going to approach it. So I've sort of lost track of how many days I've been working at this now, in between other jobs. But what you'll notice today is that I've taken a bit more of the old plaster sheeting off here, so I've cut that flush back to there. And the reason for that is that, look, I didn't want to cut off too much to start with, because it's easy to take more off than it is to add some more in. Well, maybe it's not, I don't know. But, so I've taken that off flush. I'm going to put a stud in here, and I'll take these noggins out there. Next job is to cut off here as well. And then I'll start framing up around it. Look, one of the reasons why I haven't been at this just non-stop is that we do have guests staying with us, so I'm sort of waiting till mid-morning when they leave. So I'm not interrupting their stay and their peace and quiet and tranquility on the property. But also, there'll be another video posted up, and I'm not too sure it'll come first, or this one will come first, but one or the other. I'm also painting the kitchen at the same time, so I'm sort of doing kitchen in the morning when things aren't, also I'm not making a lot of noise, and in the afternoons I get to this for a couple of hours, while still trying to remember that I'm meant to be on holidays and recuperating and recovering and refreshing and all those good words that we like to use about holidays. Not too sure I'm getting too much of that at the moment, but you know, this is definitely something different to my daily routine, so change as good as a holiday. And now what I'm going to do is go through my bits and pieces of screws and stuff to work out what screws I have. And look, I know I've got screws for the screw the studs in, but it's all the other stuff that I'm wondering about now. But I'm just basically going to get screws so I can go back down to the house and screw those in and put them in. And then I'll be on my way to get started to take the old studs out. So I've got the studs in. You can see the studs are in. I've also got the door studs there as well, which holds that plate in place. Now I haven't secured that plate yet because I'm thinking about now taking these out, because originally I was going to, well, I still will, put a triple plate up and have these coming down onto it. But if I take those out, I can just cut fresh ones. I thought they were actually all the way through that top plate, but once I took that extra plasterboard off, you'll notice I have taken the plasterboard off all the way through to the ceiling now. I noticed that they're actually checked into the top plate, not all the way through, which is what I originally thought when I saw those gaps beside those studs. But look, I'm happy I've got the studs in place. These are now in place. They are actually straight, so that was probably my biggest concern, because I don't often get things straight. Now this one here has got a bit of a kick on it, which I'm sure will have some sort of impact, but I have no idea what that impact will be. I'm not being a builder, but it does have a bit of a kick on it, so it's not dead flush or dead square, as we'd say, square and straight. But yeah, so that's my next piece. I'll pull this back out, take those off. That'll give me more access to here. Where I'll put that plate on, put the other two plates on top of that when I get more wood delivered tomorrow. Unfortunately, they couldn't do it today. Even though I went down this morning, they were flat out, so they couldn't deliver till tomorrow, unfortunately. And the timber I had wasn't quite enough. I've got probably got enough for one more plate, but not enough for a third, which is what I'd like to get to for that, knowing that I had a brace through that piece of the wall. But look, I'm pretty happy. I've still got to take out that little bit of wood along the bottom and take that down to the floorboards. There is a gap. There will be a gap if I take that all the way out. If I cut that completely out, I'm not too sure if I will cut it completely out yet, but my intent will be to put a nice piece of wood over that gap anyway. So that's the progress. So there you go. Look, I know I haven't got the complete video there from start to finish. Look, there's a couple more videos to go. Look, I do take my time doing this, and one of the reasons, as I explained in the first video, is that I'm not really sure what I'm doing. And I'd probably do the same again, even though I've done it already. I'd still take my time because it's easy to cut a little bit off and cut too much off and having to repair it. Now I know you probably can repair the drywall pretty easily, but it's not high on my skill set, so I try to do as little damage as possible as I'm going through. Now, for those that are wondering how much gap that is in that opening between the studs for the door, look, I think I left 2 inches. So people recommend between 1.5 to 2 inches because you still need to put timber on the inside of that opening on the studs before you can hang your door. So you do need some space to do that. So for me, I'm pretty sure I left about 2 inches either side on that opening. So I've worked out what size door I wanted, then added 1 inch either side because you will fill it up with other timber. So if you've enjoyed that video, please give us a big thumbs up. And until next time, I'll see you then.